It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes-free living, and join us for Naked, Nudist, and Naturist.
Welcome to Naked, Nudist, and Naturist, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Well, greetings and welcome in to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 205 today. We are really glad that you're with us. We look forward to these get-togethers every Saturday, exactly 1 hour long, for all of us, each of us, to collectively enjoy clothes-free living for all of the right reasons together for the entire hour, if you can. Now, if you're driving around, you're in a store with headphones on, keep your clothes on there. But if you can join us and be clothes-free for this hour, so much the better. We're just glad that you're here. So come on in. The pool feels like $1,000,000. Cannot wait to dive in this afternoon. The hot tub is going full blast at 100 degrees today. We dialed it down just a little bit. The grill is going full bore with all of your favorite meats. And by the way, guess who our grill master is today? None other than Brian Spence. He owns Nudist Clubhouse. He was also once a trustee for Anna. We appreciate having Brian Spence in the lanai today, cooking up a terrific meal for you. We have fruits and vegetables off to the right, cold drinks off to the left, hot drinks inside. If you leave the pool area on the left, we have a hammock out there. Need a break? Need to get away just for a few minutes? You can go out there and rest, take a nap. There's also a naturist fiction library out there. You can read while you're out there. You can bring a book back inside. We do have putting greens in the middle, behind the pool area. We have bocce ball off to the right. You come back in, we have that cigar bar waiting for you, donated by a listener from Ohio. And we also have extra towels, extra chairs, extra suntan lotion. We left nothing to chance. If you showed up with nothing, so much the better. Don't even worry about it. Don't go running back to your car. Just come on in and enjoy clothes-free living with us for the next hour. Well, on today's show, obviously, Lisa Monroe will be here. In fact, she is here. She's sitting across from me right now. Microphone is not yet on, but we'll get to her segment really soon here. And then we will have part one of my interview with Tim Chizmar. You know Tim really well. Everybody knows the name Tim Chizmar. He is Mr. Everything. He is Mr. Everywhere, writes books, makes movies, does TV shows, writes articles, edits newsletters. He is everywhere. Mr. Naturism, Mr. Nudism, Mr. Clothes-Free Living, for all of the right reasons. So part one today with Tim Chizmar. I don't know about you, but I hear some music that can only mean one thing. It's time for the great, the terrific, the one-of-a-kind, the completely clothes-free and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. And here she is, the one and only, the one-of-a-kind, the completely clothes-free and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
Good morning, Frank. I'm doing very well, getting a little waterlogged. We've been having lots of rain, but other than that, perfectly fine.
I don't know if you noticed just a moment ago, but I gave you an opportunity. I actually looked right at you while I was talking. I paused briefly, but I looked right at you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed, because I had to look away before you did something. But, we play games back and forth. I gave you a chance, and you bombed miserably. Thank goodness.
Well, it wasn't that I didn't see you, but it's that I knew what you were trying to do. So, the games begin, yes, and continue.
Right. Well, let me do an imitation of somebody.
Okay.
And I am not a great impersonator. I don't want to give you the wrong message like, hey, I've been working on this. No, I haven't been working on anything, but I've been watching this TV show. And I looked it up. When it first aired was in the 50s, and it carried on into the 60s.
Okay.
And then it came back for a bit in the 80s, I guess, but the main star had another show in between. I hope I'm not giving too much away. But it just cracks me up how they do this show. Because again, we're talking about 1950s
Yeah.
TV when TV was still kind of sort of new. They
Yes.
were still part movie, part Broadway play, transferring to TV. TV didn't have its own unique genre yet. All right, so here we go, as best as I can do, but I think you'll get who it is. Hello, Paul. Could you go down and talk to Detective Tragg at the police station in Della? Come in my office, please.
Yes, I do know who that is.
Who might that be?
That might be Perry Mason.
Yeah. I've noticed two things, well, several things, but two I want to point out. Everybody in that show has a great voice.
Yes. Yes.
You can tell they were major league stage actors before because they project and they're full and deep voices, men and women. It's just,
Yes.
it's a pleasure to watch and listen to. And not just the main stars, but everybody who comes on.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, what can I do? I'm Perry Mason. And somebody else. Yes, the big booming voices all over. That's great.
I think it's fabulous. And one of the things I think is that they were real actors back then. I mean,
Yes.
now you got so many shows and so many scripts and so many things being produced that, they can take just anybody who looks good on camera or can actually semi-act and put them in so you don't get that quality like you used to. Even though the dialogue was more stilted and the stories were more simplistic in a lot of ways, I still think that sometimes television was better back then. I loved Perry Mason.
Yeah, I'm really into it. They have, well, I think over 200 episodes, so I have a long way to go before I catch all the way up. But the other thing that I noticed is, or I didn't notice, well, I never really watched the show before, so it struck me as unusual because I never heard it or read it before. But Perry Mason, the character in the show, did a lot of things that most attorneys would never consider. He kind of pushed the boundaries of the law, and in some cases, I think broke the law while investigating and somehow wiggled out of it. And the detective, the Lieutenant Tragg, was, you could always tell he's after him. Like, I'm going to nail you one of these days, and he never could. That struck me as unusual, but I guess it was part of the story. It was a series of books long ago, I think, before the show.
Yes, it was, and I cannot think. Do you remember the name of the prosecutor? Because he did not like Mr. Mason at all. I can't think of what his name was now. I haven't seen the show in a while. I have to watch it.
In the show, or
in the show, yeah. Oh, Hamilton Berger.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
And they always give each other those looks. The prosecutor will ask a witness questions, and then after that, your witness, Mr. Mason. Thank you, Mr. Berg.
So polite.
Big booming voice. Yeah, exactly.
But you know who my favorite character was in the whole show? You haven't even mentioned him yet.
Paul
was the detective Paul Drake.
Yeah.
Yes.
To me, he was not as good of an actor as the others, but he had that big screen presence and big booming voice.
And he was a detective, and I kind of, when I first started watching this show and reruns, it was like, I want to do that. I just thought it was really an exciting thing, and I already love mysteries, so that he was by far my favorite.
Yeah, I don't want to overplay this, but I've done a lot of detective type work in jobs I've had. I'm not a detective. I'm none of those. And I thought that'd be kind of a cool career. And then you see what some of these detectives go through, including Paul on the show. It can get kind of physical at times. And I thought, well, maybe I don't need to do that as a career. I could just, play tiddlywinks and chess as a profession. It's safer anyway.
Yes, and unfortunately, I believe most private detectives nowadays do nothing but surveil errant spouses. So I think that's about all they ever do is keep, look for people who are not doing the right thing. So not as glamorous as it shows on television.
No, I actually talked to a guy who owns a shop where they sell surveillance equipment, all legally. And I was in there talking to him. We needed some stuff for the neighborhood. And he just had that presence, that attitude, that feel like, I think this guy was a police officer at one point.
Probably was.
And so I thought, I'm just going to ask, by any chance, before you got into this business, were you a police officer? He goes, absolutely, I was. I was a detective. And he went on forever about his qualifications. I thought, yeah, there you go. Because you either, certain professions, you have a look about you or you don't. And if you don't, then that means you didn't do it. And he had that look. So
yeah, I think detectives almost have to, because they, that is not an easy job.
No, not at all. So, Anyway, become a Perry Mason fan,
Yay!
which was way before we were born, the
Yep.
50s and 60s, but
Mhm.
and black and white. That's the other
Yes.
thing. Yeah, black
Yes.
and white show. But okay. Anyway,
Yes.
now that you're done talking about Perry Mason,
Yes. Okay. I'll try to give it up.
meet me for dinner tonight at 8:00, Della, and Paul, bring the wine. I always expect them to say something like that, but they never do.
No, they never do. They kept it very straight and very wholesome.
Yeah, although I suspected stuff like in the undercurrent, like, if they went just another step farther, but they didn't. So we'll just leave that alone.
Yep, they didn't.
All right.
But great show.
Everybody knows we have a Patreon page, and you know why. We gave up paid work to do the show for free, the greatest business decision of all time. So we've not been told by anybody. But we ask you to step forward, become a PPP, a paying Patreon peep. And that helps keep the show going, meets our expenses and all that good stuff. Each show, we highlight at least a couple of people. Lisa Monroe, who do we have today?
Today we have Lindy and Mark. So welcome aboard, Lindy and Mark. And we appreciate you being here and hope you enjoy being part of the Patreon group.
All right, very good. Thank you, Lindy. Thank you, Mark. And a special thank you to all of our PPPs, our paying Patreon peeps. You get the special content. If you're at the top 2 levels, you get our newsletter every month. You get video from time to time if you're at the top level. Lots of goodies. We ask you to join and be part of the fun around here. How about merchandise? Any quick updates for us?
Just that things are happening. People are getting ready for the summer here and hopefully for the winter in the lower hemisphere. And so we're seeing a lot of things going out. Towels, cups, coffee mugs, a few beanies, actually, believe it or not. So I think it's doing well. So you can find the merchandise at nakednudistandnaturist.com. Just click on the NNN shop and there it is.
All right. And I should have pointed out you can find our Patreon page at the top of the show notes. Every single show, it's right there. And now you know how to find our merchandise page. Okay, so we have a letter here by a gentleman who wants to be known as Scottsdale Home Nudist. And it's a fairly lengthy letter, so we'll read the whole thing and comment as we go. And it's slightly redacted because he asked a couple of questions that we cannot answer publicly or even privately at this point. And so we just took that part out. So Scottsdale, when you don't hear a paragraph, you'll say, hey, what happened? Well, now you know. Well, first of all, I'm going to designate him as my favorite listener of the day because he starts off with Dear Frank and Lisa. So right away, he's on my good side. How about that?
Well, it's probably safer to stay that way. You don't hear the whining and the complaining and the moaning. So, yeah, but that's perfectly fine. Jennifer and I have no issues with that.
All right. Boy, I've trained you well. I appreciate that. Or
No,
you trained
I just,
me well. Yeah. I'm
yes.
not sure.
I'm
right,
thinking it's that. Go ahead.
If you don't mind, can I read the first 2 paragraphs? Because at the end of the second paragraph, I will get an opportunity to imitate you. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. So, Dear Frank and Lisa, I'm writing in response to the request for comments and suggestions that you put out toward the end of show 200. And then in quotation marks, I guess he's quoting me, more guests, fewer guests, things we want more or less of, end quote. And we get to the second paragraph. First off, I love the consistency and professionalism of both your Wednesday and Saturday shows in the current formats. I can now recite the Frank Stone Creed. In parentheses, welcome in. The hot tub is fired up to 104 degrees. The vegetables are off to the right, cold drinks off to the left, and so on and so forth. With the same degree of precision as I would recite the Apostles' Creed in a church service. See, we've become our own church. How about that?
Tell you something. Oh my goodness, we have come a long way all of a sudden.
Right. And now for my favorite part of his letter. So he can quote me and does, and probably says it along with me. The same goes for the Lisa benediction. So I have a creed, you have a benediction,
Okay.
and that is, and I've been looking forward to this moment since we got this letter. It's what you say near the end of the show. We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. I think it's great. So your benediction and my creed, he has down cold by memory. How about that?
I think it's wonderful that he can recite it and considers it a benediction, but that was not very good. Do I sound like that?
No,
Everyone tell me, do I sound like that?
no, you don't. As I mentioned with the Perry Mason, hello, pool, hello, devil.
Yes.
No, I'm not very good at impersonations, but
No, you're not.
doing my best, just mixing in a little fun here.
Yeah.
Okay, next couple of paragraphs are yours.
Okay. As for more guests versus fewer guests, you're already addressing that. To paraphrase an old candy commercial, sometimes you feel like a. I'm sorry, this is funny. To sometimes you feel like a guest, sometimes you don't. Your weekend show has guests, your Wednesday shows don't. Go ahead. I know you remember the tunes. Sing it out. The point
We
is,
do. We do. Now, do you know what the commercial is?
yes, it's the at Mounds and Almond Joy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Sometimes you feel like a nut,
And
sometimes,
sometimes
you don't.
Yeah.
Almond Joy has
Nuts, Mounds don't.
Mounds don't.
Right,
Bad
that's
grammar,
right.
but we'll let that go. They make
Hey,
millions of dollars.
it's a slogan. It can be bad grammar.
Yes.
But I love that. That's just really funny.
Yeah.
Okay, let me compose myself.
All right.
If there's anything I personally would like less of, well, I'll just come out and say it. I wouldn't mind one bit if Hank and Bubba got themselves lost in the jungle of Playa Sonrisa, never to be heard from again. Okay, seriously, a 10-minute appearance on a milestone show might be okay, but really, I feel they detract from the professionalism and the goals of your podcast.
What is that? Hang on a second.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no.
I'm afraid to tell you to turn around, but behind you where the door is,
Oh, no.
Hank and Bubba, what are they doing out there? Did you invite them in?
No, I did not.
All right. Well, they won't stop pounding on the door, and we're trying to record here. Let me go talk to them. I don't even know why they're here, but go ahead, just entertain the crowd, and I'll be right back.
Oh, I don't know why they're here, but I really love this letter, and it's clever and it's important and it's to the point, and I like the fact that people give us their opinions. If you don't like something, let us know. We'll be happy to address it or fix it, or if we can. Sometimes we can't, but we'll love to hear from you.
All right. As you can see,
yes, I can.
Bubba and Hank are here sitting with us. Guys, are you aware that we are recording? I know you are, because we record the show every week at this time. Yeah. We was here. We thought, because we knew you were recording, we thought we'll be patient gentlemen. And when the show is over, we wanted to talk to you about a song idea we had. And then I hear some gun from Arizona, wherever the Sam Hill he's from, just took a shot at us, and I just could not resist coming in. Yeah. But who is this gun? Can I have his phone number and address, please? I'd like to go visit this boy. No. No, he's just giving his opinion, right, Lisa? That's how we see it.
Yes, and opinions are important, and everyone has one, and everyone has a right to exercise that. So, guys, just chill.
I think Scottsdale Home Nudist, the way he explained it, he wouldn't mind one bit if Hank and Bubba got themselves lost in the jungle of Playa Sonrisa.
Mm-hmm.
We've promoted Playa Sonrisa. It sounds like the greatest place on earth. So Hank and Bubba, I think he's wishing the best for you. He wishes you could go down there and just enjoy naturism on the water at the beach 24/7. Oh, well, Well, in that case, I guess we made fools of ourselves.
Oh, like that never happens. Okay.
Yeah, it's possible you did. Yeah, I think he means this in the nicest possible way. Yeah, well, you tell that boy we is sorry. We're sorry for you. We're sorry to you, Lisa Monroe, for barging in here. We just heard something. We just thought that don't sound right. That boy needs a visit. No. All right. Guys, can you, I don't want to be rude, but if you don't mind leaving, we have a show to finish. Yeah. I is sorry. It just struck me the wrong way, but now that you've explained it, we're good to go. Yeah, I think we're fine. Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. I'll talk to you guys after the show.
Bye.
Leave here. Can you believe they bought that?
Well, they are Hank and Bubba, so I guess it works. And shoot, I bought it. I'd love to be lost in the jungle down at Playa Sonrisa. So,
I mean, Playa Sonrisa is south of us. This show almost went south in about
yes,
half a nanosecond. My gosh, they got fired up quickly.
Yes, they did, but then that's also the way they are. So
that's
we don't want Bubba
true.
fired up.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's get back on track here. If you can find your place from Scottsdale Home Nudist where you were reading.
Okay, I believe I left off here. Okay, seriously, a 10-minute appearance on a milestone shows might be okay, but really, I feel they detract from the professionalism and goals of your podcast. A literal couple of minutes of them might be okay, but when they drone on interminably for what begins to seem like the bulk of the show, and especially when they start singing, I've seriously started to just press my fast forward 30-second button until they're done. I sometimes don't blame him. I wish I could. Anyway, that's
Wait.
it.
Hang on a second. He has the word singing in quotation marks. So
Yes, he does.
and here they come again. Well, guys, what are you doing? I'm going to say, maybe we should tell you what's going on here. Well, a show is going on here. What are you guys doing? Well, last week, Bubba and I was on another radio show. It had nothing to do with being naked. It just had to do with hunting and fishing and all the stuff we good old boys do. And the host said something that kind of ticked us off. Long story short, that radio studio no longer exists, and Bubba's preliminary hearing is next Tuesday. Oh, jeez. Well, that's not good.
No,
what are you
not
guys
at
doing?
all.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Bubba, you want to tell the story? Yeah, well, we live. We got a small town. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's related to everybody. The some gun judge is our cousin. This will be about 2 minutes. He'll say, Bubba, don't do it again. And then I'll be back. And it ain't no problem. It's just, when somebody takes a shot at our singing, then we got to have a meeting of the minds. All right. Okay, guys, we're trying to finish the show. Can you kindly just duck out of here and I'll talk to you after? Yeah. We're sorry. Just thought you should know what's going on. Okay. All right. Let's look at the door closed again. Okay. So preliminary hearing.
Yes.
For something that happened at a radio studio because somebody took a shot at them.
Yes.
I think we'll be okay, though.
I think we will. I think they like us enough.
Yeah.
That they won't probably hurt us. No.
And they bought everything so far. Okay.
Yes, they have. As long as they don't listen to the show. Okay.
All right. Let's try to finish this letter here, if you don't mind, about the Aria Andre segments. Hopefully he's not out there, but go ahead.
No, please. Andre should be in Paris right now.
Yeah.
That said, I also have to admit enjoying the Aria Andre segments, provided they don't monopolize the show by going over a few minutes. His banter, and especially his wooing of Jennifer and Lisa, cracks me up every time. That's hilarious. Because we've had the opposite said about Andre before. So,
well, only a couple of people. I think everybody understands the fun and just horsing around.
Absolutely.
He is nothing like he acts like he is. He's totally straight. All right, let me go ahead and read a couple paragraphs. These guys made us short on time now.
Oh, great.
Speaking of Jennifer, I've also enjoyed the occasional teasing of efforts to get her on the show, quotation marks. And it would be interesting indeed if we listeners could someday actually get the chance to meet her. Hopefully so. She tends to be shy. She's not a media person. She's not a content creator person. We'll work on that. And we have more to say, but in the interest of time, let's go on for now. In the immediate short run, what I'm personally most curious about and dying to hear is the outcome of the Anna election. You mentioned some people wanting to hear less about Anna. Well, I strongly disagree. Even though I'm not a member, I'm interested in news about the activities of Anna overall, and your podcast has been my only source of information about the same. Well, it's good to hear.
It is very good to hear.
Yeah, we won't talk about that now. The Anna election is over. Everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
We'll say that mostly for our Wednesday shows for now. And Lisa, if you don't mind quickly zipping through his last paragraph, we'll be good to go.
So other than those comments, I have no other suggestions other than to say, keep doing what you're doing. I'm loving it, and I'm continuing to save the Wendy shows for Saturday so that I can listen to them back to back while engaged in long runs, walks, or bike rides on Saturday morning. I actually walked a mile longer than originally intended this morning just so I could continue listening to the end of the Saturday show. I guess I better buy an extra pair of shoes right now so that I'm ready for all the extra mileage I'm going to be covering once the Monday show is added. I like this guy. There's a beautiful way with words and expressing himself. And, it's just really fun to see someone enjoying the show and getting out of it what he's getting.
Yeah.
That's
Scottsdale
great.
Home Nudist, we appreciate you very much. And we can advertise ourselves now as Naked Nudist and Naturist podcast show, good for your health, because
Yes.
he did more exercise just because of our show. So how about
Yes.
that?
I think that's just wonderful.
All right. Well, Lisa Monroe, we have to head for the hills. We have Tim Chizmar coming up. And if you promise to stay naked as a jaybird till the end of the show, we'll get together then. Is that a deal?
It sounds like a deal.
All right. See you then. The very terrific Lisa Monroe. She does it all around here, and I will tell you this. Do we work hard around here? Absolutely we do. Do we take our mission very seriously? Absolutely we do. But do we have fun around here? You'd better believe it. we just have a blast getting together, putting the show together for you, and Lisa Monroe is a big part of that, so we thank her very much. Well, you are listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 205 today. We are really glad that you're with us, enjoying clothes-free living for all of the right reasons during this hour today. And now let's get to part one of my interview with Tim Chizmar. You know him. He is Mr. Everything in the world of naturism, nudism, clothes-free living for all the right reasons. He writes books, he does TV shows, he makes movies, he edits newsletters, probably forgetting a couple of thousand things that he does. But he does it all in a very genuine heart for naturism. So let's get to it. Part one of my interview with Tim Chizmar. We are heading out to Las Vegas, Nevada today to talk to Mr. Everything in the world of nudism and beyond. I could be here for the next hour listing all the things that he is into, but certainly he fully supports Anna. He's a filmmaker, he's an author, he goes to Comic-Con, and you name it, he does it. We'll hear all about it from him. So let's welcome to the show this morning from Las Vegas, Nevada, Tim Chizmar. Good morning, Tim. How are you today?
Frank Stone. We are going to have ourselves a frank conversation, a Frank Stone conversation. Say it with me. It's me. It's him. It's T-I-M.
That's right. I remember the first time you were on that show, that's how I introduced you. But this time I thought you'd like to have the entire limelight, because doggone it, son of a gun, as they say.
You know, you're pulling me out of my zone. I'm usually a shy, timid flower, but you're bringing me out.
Yeah, we've noticed that about you. It's like, can we get Tim to open up more? But we've noticed, because we talked about this way back when you had written the script for Naked as Created, and you were trying to get this thing made, and you got bumped around like everybody does in that industry. Well, finally, you got the funding you needed, you got the crew, you got the actors, actresses, you made the dang movie, and you won an award, didn't you?
That is true. That's accurate. We shot 2 movies, and if you include the documentary, we shot 3 movies last year.
Let's start with Naked as Created, the Pastor Jim story. I'll just turn the microphone over to you and tell us what it's all about, and trials and tribulations getting it made, but you finally got it made, and a release date, all that good stuff, whatever you want to tell us.
Yes, absolutely, Frank. So, my resume in case there may be a nudist or two out there who's meeting me for the first time. I am a lifetime Anna member, lifetime TNSF, lifetime CFI. I'm a regular nudist contributor to clothesfree.com. Love those guys. And I literally went to Rolf and Cynthia for SCNA, the Southern California Naturist Association. And I said, why don't we have a lifetime membership for SCNA? They created it for me, and I was the first one to buy it. So I live up to what I say. I'm now lifetime SCNA as well. So
Wow.
I tell people I'm literally a card carrying nudist. I have nowhere to put the wallet, but I do have the cards in my wallet. So
hey, congratulations.
So Pastor Jim Moore, who I believe has been on your show, right?
Yep. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
We worked on a Rippermatic to sell. His father does a series of Christian Jack Reacher novels that are not nudist, but in adapting his books into a Rippermatic to sell it as a potential movie, I got to know Jim, and I got to know his ministry and the pastorship and the history of the injustices and the prejudice he had to deal with and still continues to deal with, being a nudist out there in the limelight. And this is one of the biggest conversations I have with fellow nudists. There are so many out there that are in support of people like Jim and myself because we don't have to hide behind any family obligations or a job that wouldn't allow us to say that we are clothes free. And so Jim's story about losing his position at churches, losing friends, losing family over something that's misunderstood, which is,
Yeah.
nudism, body positivity, clothes free for all the right reasons, as somebody I know likes to say. And so we looked at that and we adapted because now his ministry, Naked as Created, does buyouts at resorts like Cypress Cove and Star Ranch. They do naked weddings, they do nude baptisms, and the fire and the intensity and the excitement of nudist Christianity matters, and the story deserves to be told. So we adapted his real life situation into a narrative film. We did some composite characters and streamlined it for the dramatic appeal, and we put it together. But as you know, in the film industry, you got to have a budget, you got to have the money, and so we went to the followers and we tried to raise the money. We raised some money, and then one of the members stood up, one of the supporters of Jim, and said, "Gosh darn it, this needs to be told. And if we can't raise the entire funding budget from our followers, just because they don't have the funds, I'll cover it. I will
Oh.
step up and I'll put in the majority. What's the minimum we need to get this thing done?" And so we put it together. And then the next obligation when it comes to nudist film, I have always been a champion of, I want the people who are in the movies to be the kinds of people that you would run into at a resort, at a beach, at a hot springs. It irks me to no end the people who claim to make a naturist movie, and it's full of actors and actresses who are literally arguing behind the scenes about how many minutes will my nipple be on the screen.
Yeah,
That
right.
is not a nudist, and
Right.
you cannot call that a nudist film. These are
Yeah.
not nudists. So I need to balance who truly understands nudism and who can act. Because sometimes the people who can act don't want to get naked, and the people who want to get naked just can't act, can't memorize, can't learn, aren't present. And so I've got to do the job of casting the right people in the right roles, which I've always believed is an extension of who they are in real life, Frank. So, for
Yeah.
example, if I was trying to do a movie that had a really great podcast host, I may approach Frank Stone and say, "I've got just the right part for you."
I think that needs to be your next movie project. Speaking for myself, of course.
What genre would it be?
Podcast, naked podcasting. Why not? There's got to be. There might not be a genre created. You'll be the creator of that genre. How about that?
I'll do it. It'll be inspiring. Everybody out there will want to be a nudist podcast by the time the movie comes out. Um,
Absolutely.
so one of the problems that we had was we were filming this in Southern California. We had a sound stage, we had the cast in place, we were filming a lot of the resort scenes at Arroyo del Sol. I'm a big fan of Rolf and Cynthia. I
Mhm.
feel like they are pillars and on the Mount Rushmore for nudism, especially in Southern California.
Mm.
Golly, I really love those guys. And so we were gonna stay and film a majority of the movie at their nudist bed and breakfast, which is part of the Clothing Optional Home Network. Little shout out for them.
Mhm.
And my brother, we got barely 2 days into filming at I'm sorry, Four Heart Studio
Mhm.
in Southern California. We got 2 days in before the huge firestorm erupted. And this fire swept Southern California in January of last year. And by goodness, it literally started around their location, their resort property. So
Wow.
we had houses on fire and it looked like lava. And We were forced to evacuate. There was and there was all these emergency signals and horrible things happening. And one of our actresses, the lead actress, who is in the child custody suit
Hmm.
to set case law for her state, Sarah Woodson, Just Naked
Right.
Sarah.
Right.
She was to play the pastor's wife in real life. She ended up getting soot and ash from the fires, and her lung capacity went down to like something like 2 CO2 in her lungs. She couldn't breathe. So we had to
Oh.
fly her out. And then, okay, how do we replace the lead female nudist actress of my movie? I just told you
Right.
how hard it is to find somebody.
Right.
Well, we had the pastor's own daughter step up, because who knows the story more than his actual daughter, and she's comfortable with being naked on screen and is believable and realistic. So Chris Mudwalker from the Mudwalkers Nudist channel, he was playing the lead. He was playing the pastor, and then we swapped them. We flew her out, and she barely got off the plane before. I don't know if you're familiar with the term Ed Wood, but I felt like Ed Wood in certain elements of this movie, because we're turning hotel rooms into hospital rooms, and we're using somebody's garage to be part of a house, and we're making it up as we go.
Yeah.
Uh, and one of the biggest issues was we were now not able to get those resort shots.
Uh-huh.
Since we're not at the resort property and they were force evacuated because of the fires,
Right.
where were we going to go? And the Glen Eden Sun Club in Southern California made a big announcement. Any nudist who is displaced from the fires, you can come and stay at Glen Eden. All right. So we followed up on that and said, well, we're nudist filmmakers shooting a movie. We're in Southern California. Can we come and, with proper notice, film in parts of Glen Eden? And they said no.
Oh,
They
wow.
said no. So they would allow people to stay there, but they wouldn't let us film there. And we don't have a ton of options. Obviously, now with Deanza, I spoke to those guys, and it used to be a nudist, now it's textile. Olive Dell is going through all this issues about the owners and the murder and horrible stuff. So, and Deer Park has been closed. So the options are very limited. By goodness, I have nothing but great things to say about Patty Faber and Cindy Tendick. I called out to Shangri-La in Arizona,
Mhm.
and with barely a day's notice, because of the emergencies, they were willing to work with us.
Wow,
I
that's
think
great to hear.
I think it helped the genre of the film. I think they
Yeah.
loved that it was a nudist Christian film. Um, and we ended up driving 6 hours with our team in various carpools up to Shangri-La. And that's where we got the resort property footage for the movie, was in Arizona. And then we barely, after we got that all done, we ran back down to Southern California to get the church scenes. And we in the midst of a literal hellstorm of fire, and we were able to get this movie finished, completed, in the can, and by goodness, Frank, we done did it.
Yeah, how about that? The most people don't understand how the film industry works. In this case, the behind the scenes stuff. You go up, to the studio, you film the scene, good, you're done for the day. There's about 10 billion, gazillion, trillion more aspects to it. And you just explained a few of them. You didn't just show up and film. You had to go to various places to get permission, and obviously Shangri-La Ranch said yes, so you traveled there, and that involves, you said 6 hours, so that's the better part of a working day. And I'm sure
Yes.
when you got there you were pretty tired, so I don't know how you got all of this done with all that you were dealing with. But then again, I do know how you got it done, because that's how you are, Tim. And a part of me says you probably made a better movie because you had to fly by the seat of your pants, even though you don't wear any. But you had to fly by the seat of your pants, which really is when you launch into your more creative zone. If everything were, 1, 2, 3, ABC, I don't think you'd be able to function. What do you think about that for a psychological assessment on the spot?
What I think is that a lot of people kept patting me on the back and giving me credit for, he wouldn't give up, and he was a problem solver, and what a great producer. Frank, between you, me, and the people listening, what was my other option? What, to give up? To quit? To stop?
Some people would have. I know people who just, chuck it. It's not worth the hassle. but that's really not in your vocabulary or way of thinking at all. I don't believe.
No,
Yeah.
you've gathered all of these elements that you may never have again. You
Yeah.
know, you've got the people, you've got the funding, you've got in so much that we lost. You just on an indie shoot, we spent a few $1,000s on food,
Yeah. Sure.
craft services, and meals, meal planning, meal prep. We had all of that at the resort property. Then we were kicked out of the resort property. So now we have to insert all the food costs back into it,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
counting the locations and the insurance costs and the rental cars. We ordered porta potties that were installed at the resort. Then we were kicked out. And that's not to say, I'll tell you, one of the nicest thing I can say about Cynthia and Rolf is that in the midst of a tragedy where they may lose their home and their business, they still acted in the movie. They showed up on days they were supposed to be there, and they acted with lines, and Rolf knocked it out of the park. Cynthia's great too, but Rolf has some emotional scenes, and they showed up ready to work. I would have thought they would have threw the movie out the window when your house might be on fire,
Yeah.
and not them. They were
Uh,
absolute troopers, and just watching everybody come together. But for me personally, it's like the show must go on, Frank.
yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
we've got these elements,
Yeah.
and by goodness, I am not one of those guys who says I want to diddy daddle around the idea of making a movie. If the movie isn't sold to a distributor and I can tell you where to watch it on streaming or hand it to you on Blu-ray, I have failed.
Hmm.
And I will not fail because
Yeah.
there are not enough of us standing up to be nudist filmmakers. So if I get the chance, the opportunity, the faith of people who are putting money into a project, by goodness, it's coming out. And so that's to be said that we get done filming, and one of the investors, obviously proprietary information and anonymous donors, I'm not going to put their business out there, but one of the people who invested in the pastor movie had invested in a prior nudist movie, and the person, I'm going to try to be as vague as I can about this, made him promises and did not come through. And so that was his biggest concern coming to me, saying, somebody told me a long time ago, hey, I'm going to make this nudist movie. And by goodness, it never came out. So how do I know that if I put money into yours, it's going to be different? And I gave him the timetable and I showed him what we were doing. And by the time the pastor movie was in post-production edit, I was already funded for Naked Alien Massacre, my
Wow.
nudist monster movie I've been dying to do. So we literally are in post-production on the pastor film, and boom, we're in pre-production on the Naked Monster movie, and we're off and running. And there was a resort property we were going to be filming at, but we weren't able to do it. I didn't know where we could shoot it. And within this one being a nudist horror movie, a scary movie, a blood and guts movie, it's not everybody's taste.
Yeah.
And because of that, some properties didn't want it shot there because they felt like it could have a negative stigma. Although I would point that horror fans are big supporters of locations where movies were shot, and that becomes part of the lore, part of a sightseeing tour later where they want to see where things were shot. And when we needed a location to shoot Naked Alien Massacre, Frank Stone, I lived in Southern California and worked in the entertainment industry for probably 15 years. I have went to lots of nude beaches, nude clubs, nude resorts. I personally, Tim Chizmar, on this side of the phone, the podcast recording with you, I had never been to Laguna del Sol.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Laguna del Sol?
No, I've not been to any resorts out in California at all.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that you throw out there. Maybe I had heard it in passing. Nobody had ever sat me down and said, Tim, here are the reasons you should go to Laguna del Sol. Here is what they do there. Here is what it's like. I had never actually, that was the first time anyone had ever pointed my eyes on Laguna del Sol. So me and Melody Munson, I love her. She's been on your show.
Oh yeah.
We took the drive, and buddy, it's not an easy drive. It's something like 8 hours or 10 hours from Las Vegas. It's a heck of a hike. But we went up there, we sat down, and we talked to the management at Laguna del Sol, and we laid it all out: the good, the bad, the tough. We discussed prices and realistic expectations for a film shoot, and I was nervous. I've certainly, in this industry, I get more no's than yeses, right? It's an uphill battle, and Pamela at Laguna del Sol and the family of the Shells, Wayne, Suzanne, all, buddy, we came to terms, and it was beautiful. We were able to make a deal. We were able to make an agreement, and we filmed Naked Alien Massacre they have their own lake. It's like a nude city, Frank. They've got hotel properties, they've got animals, they've got where they've got the stuff you would expect at a nudist resort, but they've got something like 4 swimming pools, 2 hot tubs, sporting areas, a restaurant. We bought out all of these exclusive, trailer type spots, and we had a really big team that came together, because you've got the special effects, you've got the stunts, you've got smoke and fog machines, you've got the camera equipment, you've got the food, you've got the actors, we had people, we flew in from as far as London to be involved in this movie shoot.
Oh,
And it was a dream come true to have been talking about Naked Alien Massacre for the longest time, and then to finally get it done. And I've had people who scoffed at it. There was a nudist comedy that came out at this point maybe a decade ago called Act Naturally. It was done by JP Riley. I was at the one of the screenings in LA where I had the idea and the screenplay for Naked Alien Massacre, and I went to it and I was talking to the cast about I thought we were peers because they had done a nudist comedy and I wanted to do a nudist horror movie, but we're still in the nudist movie business. So I thought we would all nope. I mentioned my idea to members of the cast, and they were like, "Yeah, good luck with that."
whoa.
They were they were putting it down that it was so ridiculous. And the basic premise is, the Predator films.
Yeah, right.
So when Predator looks at you, he has thermal vision, he has heat vision, and your body would glow because of the heat that would attract him to you in the murderous ways. Well, my aliens have clothes vision. So the nudists are safe because no clothes will glow. But if you
Okay.
show up as a textile, you're in
Yeah.
danger because your clothing is glowing. And
Yeah.
so we've got a love story where this man who's a nude art model poses for this artist girl, and they have a crush on each other. And she's okay with him being a nude art model because within that setting, she's okay with it. But when she finds out he lives at a nudist resort, that's outside of her paradigm. She's uncomfortable with it, and he encourages her to come for the weekend, meet my nudist friends, see what it's like. But in doing so, she is now in danger of the aliens.
Uh-huh.
And so the owner of the resort kind of plays God with the people who come to the resort. If he likes you, he encourages you to get naked so that you'll stay alive. If he doesn't like you, he encourages you to keep your clothes on in certain areas because his justification is they could see you from the road, and he's really dooming you to get killed by these aliens.
Yeah.
So there's all these layers going on, and it's funny and it's emotional and it's beautiful. And if I did my job right, the people watching the movie should forget that they're naked. You should just fall under the guise and the allure of true nudism, in that it's not meant to be overtly sexual or anything. I think you
Right.
remember when I made the Noodles of Noodland, available on a lot of different streams, Troma now, and at my website, nudisthumorist.com. But the only time that we put clothes on, the lead actress and myself, was for our love scene. When we were rolling around on bed, we were
Right,
wearing
right.
clothes. Yeah. So I've always been conscious
Good.
of taking the nudist gaze into the film. I want you to be in on it. So for example, at a certain point in the movie, the lead actress says something about being topless. And the girl next to her says, actually, we call it top free. So, I've got these little things that nudists will nod to and say, they get it. They get it. And so and I got to watch activism in action for some members of our cast and crew who were not nudists or wouldn't refer to themselves as nudists, and then being at a resort where they had heard the sayings, they had heard nude isn't lewd and all this, but to be surrounded by folks who practice what they preach and live it. When you go to a nudist resort and you're wearing clothes and you're the weird one because everyone else is naked, and to get in the pool or to get into the hot tub, you got to get naked.
Right.
You find out how quickly people acclimate and they realize, oh, folks aren't judging me based on my body. Folks aren't staring at me, but all the things that we talk about are actually practiced right there. And I got to see it with my cast and crew. People who would
Yeah.
never say that they're a nudist completely changed their paradigm and their motivations. And then some of them walked away from the shoot referring to themselves as a nudist.
Yeah.
We're gonna get there, but when we won an award, I was telling you, Melody Munson yelled from the stage, "A win for nudists," and she's now referring to herself as a nudist. She's been doing enough
Oh,
episodes of clothesfree.com and stuff, and I've witnessed it with my own eyes, Frank.
yeah. You've seen the transformation. I know we had her on the show once with you, the two of you together, and then we did her alone, two different episodes, part one, part two with her. And she told me the same thing. She's not a nudist, but at the same time has no problem getting naked if the situation calls for it. Somebody says, hey, come on over, we're having a naked pool party. She's in, clothes are off, boom, in the pool. But otherwise, she really wasn't hanging around clothes free at home or anywhere else. But you're saying she's now one of us? Is that what I'm hearing?
She has absolutely drunk the Kool-Aid. She's
Wow,
all on
that's
board.
great to hear.
She gets naked for interviews. She gets naked just for fun. She loves it, and so does her partner. And she actually there was just a wedding proposal, and I'm going to be officiating the wedding. I don't know if you know, I
Yay!
can do weddings,
I do, yeah.
so I'm going to be doing some nudist weddings, and it's very exciting. Anna Taborska is a filmmaker and a Bram Stoker Award winner. She flew in from London, not a nudist, never been to a nudist resort. The first night, she's skinny dipping in the pool. Lisa Ann Borain, who on the Pastor film acted in it and was one of the producers, she had never got naked on the set. Her husband and her were talking about, can we, couldn't we, should we, shouldn't we? And by the second film shoot, by Naked Alien Massacre, she's naked and joining in with us.
Wow.
So very exciting to watch. Have you had Cat Prodigy on your show?
No, we have not. Is she with you in one of your movies, or?
Yes, very much
Okay.
so.
Okay.
And she's a musician and an actress, and she was in my Naked and Not Afraid talent show. And anyway, she does some original music for Naked Alien Massacre and plays one of the leads. And she has been a real champion for nudism. The special effects guys. I mean, and Juliana Acosta comes back, plays a wonderful character. Kate Lane is in the movie. Chris Mudwalker plays one of the leads. And, I purposely, because I can be a chatty Cathy and cast a big shadow, I do not act in Naked Alien Massacre. I
Okay.
directed it, I wrote it, I cast it, I produced it, but I wanted the story to not be sidetracked by Tim Chizmar. I'm a fan of myself and I know what I do good, and I think I'm a good communicator, but I also can be a little distraction. And I didn't want to distract from the story. I wanted to tell it through the lens of these characters, and I think we did a pretty bang up job. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've had. I'm just trying to think through the cast here. We've had a number of your people on the show even before you had hired them or brought them along for these movies. And you mentioned a few. Melody Munson for sure had her own segment here. Kate
Dan
Lane.
Hawkins, you've had Dan on your show, and Dan plays the owner of the resort.
Yep, I was getting to him. We had Kate Lane and definitely Dan, and we had Chris Mudwalker, and we had Pastor Jim. Now, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I don't know your full cast or crew, but that's 5 right there plus yourself. So 6 just from your movies. Maybe we should call this the Tim Chizmar show after a while. How about that?
I want to tell you about one of the greatest nights of filming because there were so many, and that's why I'm excited. There's a company called September Club, and they started filming a documentary about me shooting Naked Alien Massacre. A friend of mine who is pretty high up now. September Club, if you're not familiar with the name, they did movies like Jim and Andy. That was about Jim Carrey when he played Andy Kaufman in the movie Man on the
Yeah.
Moon.
Right.
They did American Movie. They were involved with Napoleon Dynamite. They've got a heck of a track record. And so when they set their sights on doing a documentary, it's not some little fly by night thing. It's a big deal. And apparently, my buddy who works with them was telling Tim Chizmar stories one day, and at a certain point, they were like, "Who is this guy? You know,
Yeah.
he's a comedian and a nudist, and politically may not align with Hollywood, and here he is in all these different situations and battles, and getting things accomplished, and not coming from a rich family, and putting things together and making it happen." Anyway, they started to follow my story because it had been years of trying to get Naked Alien Massacre going. And by goodness, by leading through watching the characters and the personalities and the people and seeing everything come together. So, anyway, one night at Laguna del Sol, we have to get some night footage of our love couple going to the skinny dipping spot, and it just so happens to be the same night that we're having a screening of the Pastor film. So
Oh, very
I'm
good.
I'm there shooting one movie, and we're holding a screening with a bunch of nudists. I mean, it was just max capacity and full, and so I'm there. I'm watching it. I see the reactions. I get the gasps at the right moments and the dramatic appeal, and people who are moved by it, and they crying and excited and hugging me. And this story deserves to be told. And then we run from that to run out into the woods with our limited crew and some of our cast to continue shooting the second nudist movie
Wow.
that we were working on. And it just made me feel so fulfilled and
Yeah.
so because it's one thing to talk about what you want to do, it's another thing to see faith in action, to actually be doing it.
The very terrific Tim Chizmar. You can find him at nudisthumorist.com. He is out there all of the time promoting naturism, clothes for a living for all of the right reasons. He does comedy, he writes books, he makes movies, he edits newsletters, he does it all. And we are looking forward to next week on episode 207 on Saturday for part 2 with Tim Chizmar. And before we head for the hills until Wednesday's show, let's bring back in our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Welcome back, Lisa.
It's good to be back, and I brought you a cookie. I figured you
Ooh.
needed a little bit of energy after the Tim segment because I always feel like I need oxygen when I listen to Tim. There's just too much energy.
The thing I like about Tim the best is he does everything and he's genuine about it.
He sure is.
He has a podcast coming up with his sister. They're going to start in the fall. He writes books. He does video work for CFI. He does live shows. He does live nude comedy. He's put out TV shows, on the internet. He's just Mr. Everything in naturism, and he never stops. He's like the Energizer Bunny on extra batteries or something like that, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense because, I think the creativity kind of overflows in him. And we both know that creative people are constantly needing to be creative, And if you go with a day or two without not doing something that you enjoy doing and it's creative in nature, then you kind of feel stagnant and something's out of amiss. So Tim is just like over the top creative and he embraces all of that talent, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. So we'll do part 2 of the Tim Chizmar interview on next week's show. And we have another show coming up on Wednesday. 206 is coming up. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
How did we get there?
Just by working our tails off. And the big one, making no excuses. We don't make them. We don't accept them. We just forge ahead.
Nope. You just try to be truthful and honest and bring what naturism experience and information we can.
Yep, there you go. All right, Lisa Monroe, with that, let's head for the hills. We promise to stay naked until Wednesday. We'll get together Wednesday. How about that?
That sounds great. I promise if you do and everybody else do the same.
All right, sounds good. Well, you've been listening to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 205 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, and on most Wednesdays, 12 noon Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts, and also on Twitter. You can write us anywhere, anytime, any place. And we thank you for being with us today. Plan to join us for every single one of our shows here and have your clothes off when you're listening. We have our clothes off when we're broadcasting, enjoying the naturist life.
We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked, Nudist, and Naturist.
We drop a brand new show every Saturday morning, so come back and join us. Have your clothes off when you do for Naked, Nudist, and Naturist. Have a great clothes-free day.